Hi, this is Mark from Dragon Force.
This is Charlotte from The Lane.
I'm Greg Browning from Crimson Shadows.
This is Vicky Sarakis from The Agonist.
Hey guys, this is Thomas from Camelot, and you're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast. Crank it up.
Welcome back, listeners, to another of our metal artist interviews. Today we're joined by Oscar Rangel from the Toronto-based metal band Operus. Oscar, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for the interest and for calling.
Before we get into some of the background discussion, I understand Operus performed a very exciting show recently, opening for power metal legend Sonata Arctica.
Oh, it was a very, very good show for us. It was also a special show for us because it was our first ever show with the new lineup that we have. So we took our time to get back on stage. I think it took us about 2 years of hard work for most of the band members. And then right after we released the album, we had to change drummers. So this was, in a way, the beginning of a new era for us.
And what was the response of the fans there? Obviously, many there, most to see Sonata Arctica, but did you feel like you got a good response from the audience and that fans embraced the band?
Yeah, it was good. We actually sold out our CD. We got the people, there were a bunch of people headbanging and screaming and clapping, so involvement from the crowd.
You alluded to the background of the band, the 2 years prior. Give me a thumbnail sketch of how the band Operus came to be.
Well, I started writing just music for I used to play in a power metal band back in Mexico, and at some point I just started to write my own music without thinking which the instrumentation is going to be. Because before I had to think, I had 2 guitar players and a keyboard player, so I can't write more than that. So for this project, I just started letting my imagination go, and then didn't even look for musicians until I moved to Canada. And then even then, it took me a good maybe 5 years to find the right people. And then we started putting together the band, and that's how it basically came to be.
I'll put all my cards on the table. I'm a huge fan of symphonic and operatic metal bands, and most of them are female-fronted. What's the reaction to a band in that genre that maybe doesn't fit that same stereotype?
Yeah, to be honest, that was one of the main objectives that I had when we started building the band, because a lot of people will just think, okay, this is the perfect kind of music to have a female-fronted band, right? But at the same time, I think that's also it's been probably played out. There's way too many new upcoming bands that they're amazing, but I also try to have my own vision on things. And I've always been a big fan of bands like Rhapsody of Fire or like Sonata Arctica, Stratovarius, and other male-fronted bands. So I figure why not have a twist? And we have a very symphonic band, but a lot of us come from very extreme metal genres like thrash, including the singer Will Patterson. He used to sing in a band called Exile, and his main focus was always thrash and really aggressive vocals.
You mentioned Will, the lead singer. Talk us through the other members that make up the band and kind of what strengths they bring to Operus.
The bass player, Wojtek, played a really important role in the band because he was the first member from this lineup that I found, and together we built up what we have right now. He used to play in a black metal band called Eclipse Eternal. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they're pretty popular up here, but now they are broken up because they split up. So we have him. He has a lot of great ideas for orchestrations, and this is one of the things I love about Operus. The way it's working now, it's not just a one-man project. Like I did started the band and I composed most of the music, but everybody has a say in the final cut. So I love that. We have JJ on drums. JJ is a very known musician in Toronto and in Canada. He's also the promoter for the battle, the Backen battle in Canada. We're really happy to have him on board. Um, then we have Robin Howe. He's the cello player in the band, one of the main assets, I would say. Live, everybody goes crazy every time he just plays like two notes. So yeah, he's an amazing. He has a master's degree actually in cello, and he's the one guy that I usually communicate the most when composing. I always ask his opinions because he has the most experience playing in orchestra, and that's one of the big things we want to achieve in opera. We want to be able to sound like classical music with a metal element, as opposed to metal music with classical elements. And then we have Rob Holden, who's the other guitar player, and so we constantly ask him. The bass player is also one of his best friends, so we cornered him once at a show. We just told him. We didn't even ask him. We were like, "Dude, you're playing in our band." And after so many years, he was like, "Okay, cool, I'll do it." And now we're just like a very tight group. I think it's an amazing group of people. We never have like dramas and stuff like that, so it's pretty good.
Sounds like an impressive lineup. But Oscar, tell me a little bit about your own history. How did you first get into music?
I was about 12 years old, probably younger than that, when I started listening to music. Like with my friends, we decided to make a band when we were 12, and we took guitar lessons, and then one thing led to another. So at some point, when I kind of find myself already very submerged in the musical world, I had like 4 years of experience playing classical guitar and the same 4 years playing in metal bands as well. So the choice was pretty clear that I was just going to be a musician. But even when I started, that was kind of my path. Like I knew I wanted to be a musician when I was 12.
Let's talk about this EP, Opus 1, and in particular, let's talk about the songs, because I've been listening to these songs the past few weeks and am so impressed. You have 4 tracks on the EP, some pretty diverse sounds. Tell me about the songs.
Yes, well, first of all, we chose those 4 songs from a big catalog that we have. We decided to find the 4 songs that portray the most of our sounds, because we're not just looking for one sound. We're trying to develop a bunch of different sounds, because we want to make the show an experience that's more like a going to the theater, supposed to just going to the metal show where everything is just headbanging and really, really heavy stuff. So the first song, Acmen Inis, the title, it's a Latin word, or 2 Latin words that mean army at work.
Very solid intro, I think.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, exactly. And the voice, we chose that song to be the first one because Will's voice is amazing on the intro. Like from the first time, whenever we play it at the rehearsals and all that, it always gives me chills. Like that part, like his voice is very expressive. So, and I know we know a lot of people pay way too much attention into the voice and not so much into the music for some bands. So in a way, that's kind of okay, here's our singer. Then the second song, Fate's Pantomime. It's a little bit lighter song. It's faster, but it's lighter. It's more melodic. And the cello plays a big role in that song. It's the one where he has a solo.
Very impressive. One of my favorite parts of this EP.
Yeah, and once again, that's the kind of what happens live too. We're playing, even if we're headbanging and shredding away, the minute the cello comes in and it plays a main part, everybody goes crazy. So that's amazing too. And in a way, we wanted to portray, like I said, the first song is about the vocals, then the second song is about somewhat the cello. Like we all play important parts in the song, but the main instrument on that song is the cello. And I think that's 2 of the most representative instruments in the band. So at that point, when people already sort of hopefully are convinced of our talent and of what we're about, then we get them to the heavier song, which is the third track. It's called The Book of Shadows. The Book of Shadows is by far, or I think is by far the most classical song. Ruben, the cello player, is doing a lot of operatic singing, and that's kind of we attack or we talk or use sounds that we didn't use too much in the first and the second song. So now we're stretching we use a lot of crash in that song, and the orchestration is more like a punch in your face. So like it's not there for most of the song, but when it comes really strong. And then the last song is the one we chose for our lyric video, Maya and the Wolf.
Yes.
That one is almost like telling a story, and that's again one of the other things we wanted to make sure people like to get across the messages we wanted to send, and it was the fact that we are also kind of like an opera, right? The opera, as our name says, so like Operus is very very close to opera, and operas are usually stories, so we couldn't let that go. And Will is an amazing writer, a songwriter for that kind of thing, so I think it worked out pretty well. The last song, Maya and the Wolf, also has a middle part where it's just instrumental, and this is something I like to develop in my song. That's something that I call a band solo, as opposed to like guitar solo. This is a very interesting part that has a counterpoint, and counterpoint is a technique for composition that has a bunch of melodies at the same time, but they're all different and they all sound very nice together.
Beautifully done, and again, I thought that was a good selection for your lyric video.
Thank you. We chose it because we thought it was a more dynamic song that probably will reach more people, so we chose that one.
This EP, I understand, is a precursor to a full album release, maybe later this year. Where are you as far as production, and can we expect to hear different elements beyond the 4 songs we've heard on Opus 1?
Yes, we are in pre-production right now, so most of the themes and the tracks are already built, but they're only built for like with me, and I still have to go through the process of getting it to the other guys, and it always makes the sounds better, right? Everybody has new ideas or maybe little tweaks that make the sound a lot richer. So that's where we are right now in pre-production. We are aiming to have something by September, mid-September, which is probably we should start recording in about 2 or 3 months if we are supposed to release it on September, but that's what we're hoping for. And as for the sounds, yes, you can expect to hear more different like colors, different textures. We have some surprises coming on the next album.
Even these 4 songs are rich with surprises, different sounds that are very exciting. So I'm excited to hear that full album release later in the year. Finally, Oscar, just wrapping up with you, please tell our listeners where they need to go to get their hands on this EP Opus 1, as well as looking forward to that full album release later this year.
Yes, we are in iTunes, so if you look Operus on iTunes, you should be able to get it there. And our main outlet has been Bandcamp. So if you guys go to operus.bandcamp.com, there's a link there where you can get the CD or you can get the digital copy too. So we have both physical or digital.
I want to encourage our listeners, if you enjoy melodic metal, operatic metal, metal anywhere from Avantasia to Nightwish, in between, any form of symphonic metal, you should check out Operus. This EP, Opus 1, is an incredible precursor, and I'm so excited to hear the full album coming on later this year. Oscar, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, I can try. Thank you very much for the interest and for helping out, spreading the word.